Richter is co-owner of Richter Jewelry Company of Miami, which last week purchased an outstanding private collection of jewelry. Mr. Richter has brought it with him in that burglar-proof suitcase for reasons that are obvious. It contains $1 million worth of jewelry. We obviously, because we are responsible for these things, did not allow him to bring them to the studio in a paper bag, you know. That's why this extra protection that we have here in this very secure metal case. Now, there are 11 items. Time prevents us from showing you more than one or two. So let's start with the more spectacular ones. Not that they aren't all spectacular.
Well,
but ladies, wait till you see this.
Here.
Oh, boy. Let's hold it down at an angle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a sapphire necklace made of all cashmere sapphires. There's 85 stones in all that have a total weight of 135 carats.
And each of these sapphires is absolutely perfectly matched.
It would take a lifetime to put another one together.
And how many diamonds, sir?
Well, I don't know the exact count, but there's about 45 carat of diamonds in here.
Now, what would some generous husband have to pay for that?
$200,000.
$200,000. All right, fellas, get out and get busy, huh? We got some bids? Now, you think that is spectacular? Indeed, of course it is. We have something here which is of equally spectacular value. Oh, look at that.
That is a gem emerald weighing 85 carats.
Look at the size of that emerald. And then, to say nothing of all of these diamonds
in the necklace, and they're all fine gem quality stones. And this necklace is also valued at $200,000.
So you see, fellas, you can take your choice. You can have either one for $200,000. That is just magnificent, sir. Thank you very much. And by the way, Mr. Richter tells me that a sale of this proportion occurs only about once in a decade. Isn't that right?
True.
All right. Well, just to put my mind at ease, will you lock it up for me, please? Because I want you to lock it. Yeah, put it. Yeah, you can put it on the floor. There we go.
Because it's got a great big bear trap in it. That's why it has to go on the floor, doesn't it? Did one woman own all these jewels?
Yes.
One woman.
This is Harriet Young.
Mrs. Harriet Young was the owner of all these jewels, huh? Now, sir, for my peace of mind, will you lock it securely, please, in my presence so that
Doesn't close.
doesn't close?
No, wait,
Why don't you leave it here?
Swell.
We'll take it. Leave us samples.
Will you all hum if I had the wings of an angel or something while we're... There we go. It should...
There we go. Wouldn't it be funny if you couldn't lock it?
Wouldn't it be funny if you couldn't lock this burglar-proof thing? Okay, fine, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Oh, well, but, Mr. Richter, you didn't take it with you.
Well, I'm not worried about it. You can take it if you want it.
Boy, how careless can you be? A guy leaves $1 million worth of jewels. You know, anybody could walk right in here and just pick it up. Can somebody come release this thing? It's breaking my thumb. Yo, the handle catches your fingers and I can't get it out. I'm serious. Ah, can you release it? Wait a minute, don't pull, don't pull. Come on, fellas. Hurry. Yes, sir, the world's fastest typist. The remarkable thing about Mr. Peters' record is as he has typed 141 words a minute on a standard manual typewriter. That's not an electric typewriter. Now, when you're typing at that incredible speed, sir, what is your degree of accuracy?
Better than 99%.
Better than 99%. Now, if we open the curtains, please, we'll see a little demonstration. Now, here is his machine over here. It is a standard manual typewriter. forget this one. It's going to be used a little later, but for the moment, forget about it. Do you want to, he was doing a delightful thing this afternoon, and Norman Paris fell in with him. Do you want to try that for us, sir? It's not level? There, now. I think it's level now, huh?
It's better. Anyway.
All right. That's fine, Mr. Peters. That, of course, is a trick and a stunt. But now I really want to show you how magnificent this man's talent is. Here I have a machine called a roller typer. It's the world's fastest automatic typewriter. Now, it has been programmed to type the same copy that Mr. Peters has in his exercise book from a punch roll, which is in this assembly back here. Now, it types accurately and with the greatest speed that a machine can produce. Are you ready to challenge this machine, sir? All right, we'll take the same piece of copy. When I say start, you start. 1, 2, 3, go. And he's finished. The machine does that. Panel, just so that you will know that this is absolutely on the up and up. One apology I want to make. Somebody had been fooling with the machine, and it was over here instead of here from the beginning, and that's why I had to touch it. I had to bring it back to the beginning. But just compare these copies. You'll see that he is quite as accurate as the machine is. It's an amazing talent, sir, and I know you trained hard for it. Thank you ever so much. Thank you very much. And then, by the rules of the game, when a panelist says, well, I know you're not going to ask us to drink it, that's not a question, so I can't answer you. But
I never thought in the world that we'd have to do anything like
drink
it.
What about well, now let's mix it up, and then I'll explain. First of all, let's throw in the powdered milk. This is salt water, by the way. Oh. Salt water, which makes it all the tastier. There goes a little powdered milk. On top of that, for flavor, we'll put some apple cider.
Oh, gosh.
And that makes it awful nice and tasty. Then some corn syrup, just to give it that extra sweet flavor. Nice and gloppy and gooey. And then let's put in the sugar next, sir, if you will. For those of you with a sweet tooth. The sugar goes into the salt water. Then next we'll put in a mixture of vegetable dyes. Now, everything up until now has been highly digestible, but I think just to put a little fillip on things, I'm going to put in a bottle of ink. La, la, la. All righty, we'll mix this goop up. And this is what you are going to drink.
No, we're not.
Well, fear not, panel. Don't worry about this, because Mr. Tomlin is in charge of engineering for AMF's Maxim division, and in a matter of seconds, he will see to it that this murky mishmash is turned into the purest, sweetest drinking water you ever tasted. Now, let's open the curtains and see how he's going to do it. Now, this little gizmo here is the thing that you want to keep your eye on. The rest of this stuff only assimilates the power, let's say, that you would have on a boat. The engine, the condensers, the compressor, and so forth. That is not part of the basic invention, which is an AMF Aquafresh Marine. That's right, the problem of turning salt water, polluted water, into clear water. Now, how is that done, sir?
This water is heated in the bottom of the evaporator, and the pure vapors rise to the top and are condensed there as pure water.
So in other words, it is turned into steam, the impurities go out, the water condenses, and what you get is water that will come into this earthenware jug over here. So, sir, if you will put in the siphoning tube into this tank. As you know, one of the major problems today is the shortage of fresh water, and this is being combated by multi-million-dollar water conversion plants which operate on the same principle as this unit. But this is an Aquafresh Marine, the smallest commercial water converter ever designed. Now, you can't see, but water is coming out into this jug over here after going through the Aquafresh Marine. We'll give it a little time. The best application for this, sir, would be aboard a sailing boat of some sort, right?
A cruising boat or on some isolated shore station.
Is it, what?
A valve?
Everybody, oh, you didn't turn the valve on, Mr. Oh, no wonder we weren't getting any water. There it comes. I put my hand into a dry jug. Had me a little frightened for a moment. But it's coming out now. As a matter of fact, in time, sir, we now have enough to pour a glass. Now, panel, lest you are concerned about this, I would like to question Mr. Tomlin about the purity of this water.
The water is purer than city water. It has about 4 parts per million residual solids, whereas city water would have about 200 parts per million.
In other words, this is far, far purer than the tap water you're used to drinking. It has 200 parts of impurities as opposed to 4 parts in a million here. So you can see here this contrast, bright, clear, taken from this. Yes, Henry, what do you want to ask?
Well, it's about a number of gallons have gone out of that tank, but you only have a sort of a gallon jug.
Well, how many gallons of salt water, sir, do you have to work on to get how much fresh?
About 30 gallons of salt water to 1 gallon of fresh water.
Oh.
So,
For cooling as well as distilling the water. It's also used for the condenser for cooling.
all right, Bill Cullen, just pass that down a loving cup. Not very sanitary, but taste it, Bill.
Well, let's see what happens to that.
Oh, you rat!
It's delicious.
If anything, it tastes a little flat because you're used to impure water. Sir, we cannot thank you enough. This has been a fascinating glimpse into the future, or to the present, I should say. Thank you very much and good night. Hollywood's most charming, certainly most beautiful and talented actresses. You'll be seeing her this Friday night as the hostess of the Telephone Hour's Music of Irving Berlin, unfortunately on another network. But here is Miss Ginger Rogers. Hi, pretty thing. So nice to have you here. Let's back up here because at your behest, some very strange-looking objects were put out here on a table.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the wildest-looking things I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? What's the idea of them, at least?
Well, it's just sort of part of my little secret thing, you know. I think, even though you may think it's rather strange, I'm sure that Bill Cullen here knows what they're all about because they're a mechanic's tools.
Automobile mechanics.
Automobile mechanics tools.
Old-fashioned Bill, well, Ginger Rogers found out that each of you has had an experience working in other fields before you got into show business. Bill Cullen worked in his dad's garage in in Pittsburgh. Betsy Palmer was a secretary in East Chicago. Henry Morgan, believe it or not, was for a brief time a waiter. Bess Meyerson was a camp counselor during her summer vacations. So, why are you so impressed with all of this news?
Well, I'm very impressed with it because, after all, they know another trade. You see, if any time they should decide to leave show business, they'd have something else to turn to. Of course, which I seriously doubt that they would, but in my case, you see, I've never known anything but the job that I'm in, and I'd be sort of lost. I don't know any other job but acting.
Well, I assure you that our panel is no better off than you are when it comes to job hunting. I have a feeling that if they ever try to get back into their former occupations, none of them could get past the first interview. Henry, you want to say something?
No, I want to ask a question. I want to know which Ginger Rogers this is.
Which Ginger Rogers this is?
Good question.
She ain't the one I know.
She ain't?
This kid's about 25 years old.
You're so right.
Thank you.
You're so right.
Darling.
All right, now, Bill, let's see. These tools were sent to us by the Brooklyn High School. Just high school of automotive trades. Ginger, will you give Bill the first tool? We'll see if he knows what it is. Let him look at it close.
Bill, would you just examine this, please?
Thank you,
Tell us
Ginger.
what it is.
Does this have to do with automobiling?
Yes, sir. What is the
Yes, I know. It's to take something out of something. But, you know, it's been 23 years since I was in the business, and I think this has been invented more recently than that. But it looks like you put it in here, and by turning this screw, it's a valve lift.
That's exactly what it is. Oddly enough, now, Henry knew that. He had his hand up.
Now, this is kind of an interesting thing. What does that look like?
Oh, we used these when I was in the automobile. This is a boss beater.
A boss beater?
Boss beater, yes. I don't know.
Boss.
You know what you do? You take off the hubcap with that, I bet, or the rim of the wheel or something.
No, you don't. Henry,
You ready
you're
for
very
it?
good.
Are
Henry,
you ready?
very good.
You ready?
You ready,
Shall I
Bill?
tell him?
I'm
Shall
ready.
I tell him? It's a flywheel turner.
When you want to turn the flywheel without actually turning on the ignition and the gasoline and you know, making it go, you turn with that.
You know an awful lot about this.
I read up.
All right, here's one.
Here's one, Bill. Now, you should know
Bill,
that.
This is a very interesting one. I think we...
That's a cow stabber.
Stabber.
It's to get under something,
Or to get in?
and when you're under it, it's a flywheel.
Get her upper.
No.
I don't know.
It's a bearing scraper, now obsolete, but probably in use when Bill Cullen was a mechanic.
All right. Now, want to go to the next one? All right.
Oh, yes,
Here we
this
go.
is the best one. This is a real beauty.
This has to do with wheels, tires. And it's a tire opener to get the tube
Spreader.
in, a tire spreader for those great big truck
That's
tires.
absolutely right. All right.
Right. You know.
Now, Betsy, we have a little test that should be very, very simple for you.
Oh, dear.
I don't know whether it's upside down or not. No, there we are. Yeah, that's right, side up. Now, you graduated from the business school that your mother ran in East Chicago, Indiana, the East Chicago Business College. Your mother sent you a note. This is from her.
Mother sent that to me.
She would like you to read it. She wrote it in shorthand, so if you'll just go ahead and read it.
Oh, let's see.
Dear Betsy.
Oh, no, it doesn't even say Dear Betsy. It says, all teachers are sad in this world without formally...
How's she doing so far?
All teachers in this world are sad. Well, the first line is what?
All teachers are interested in the progress of their former students.
That makes me sad.
I, as your mother, am no exception. Perhaps you will find. Shall I go on?
Do some more. Pick up where you left off.
Perhaps, yes, down there. That, I should... something of training to... My mother's Greg is awful.
You want to read the rest of it?
Perhaps you will find that after trying to decipher this, you will need to intensify your efforts to become a better entertainer so that it will not be necessary to revert to the use of shorthand as a livelihood.
Betsy, we have here a typewriter for you. We want you to pursue this. I'm not doing anything right.
It fell out as you were going by. I don't think
Some
you'll be able to write a thing.
White gloves.
No, yes.
Little white, oh, no, there's a ribbon in
There's
there.
a ribbon.
Put on your white gloves.
Yes.
And you're to do something that any secretary can do.
You're kidding. Change a typewriter ribbon?
I want you to
Never
change the
changed
ribbon
it my whole life.
quietly as you can, because there will be other things going on. We'll check back with you at the end of the show to see if you've gotten the gloves soiled. And here's the ribbon.
I'll wind it for you.
All right, Henry Morgan. We've got a couple of questions for you, my friend. Now, I have them here. We assume that if you ever wanted to go back into being a waiter, you'd want to work in a fancy restaurant. These questions were prepared for us by the elegant Tower Suite Restaurant in New York City. Want to give Henry his questions?
Oh, yes, of course. All right. Henry, there are 6 men seated at one of your tables. When you bring the check over, none of the men offer to take the check. Now, how would you know who to give it to?
The one that's been doing most of the ordering.
Well, it says here, all of the chairs around the tables are numbered to give the check to the person who made the reservation. And that person is always seated in chair 1.
I didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't wait in that kind of place.
What's the next question?
All right, here's your next one. What is the proper way to ignite brandy in a chafing dish?
First you heat the spoon, and you put a little brandy in the spoon, and if the spoon's hot, then you light... Your gloves are dirty, sweetheart. And then you light the brandy in the spoon. And what was that?
Yeah, no. What is the proper way to ignite brandy in a chafing dish?
Chafing dish. Oh, that's the one with the little stove underneath.
Yes.
Pretty much the way I said. You have to start it in a little way, and then...
No. Heat the pan, get it very hot, remove the pan from the flame, and pour in the brandy.
Well, heat the pan with the
It will
spoon.
burst into flame.
Sure, well, yeah.
Never use a match. It's
Never use.
Ginger, I was a waiter in a summer camp. Now, what do you know...
Well, now, you must have had occasion such as this in a summer camp. Henry, if you'll come up here, please.
With glasses or without?
Whatever you like. Now, we have, what's this final test?
Are you really Ginger Rogers?
Come around here.
Pardon me.
Now, what's he have to do here? He has to show how to cut into a large ceremonial cake such as this?
Here it is.
Not this kind of waiter.
Well, now, wait just a minute. Is this right?
Let's go.
I was not that kind of waiter.
Yes.
How would you start, Henry?
Well, the way other people do?
If it's for a big party, how would you start it? You know, because you've got thousands.
That's absolutely wrong. What you do is you make a great big hole in...
Circle.
That's what I was about to
You
do.
cut a circle with it, and
I
then
was
you
about
put it
to do
down
that.
Like a local
I was
like
about
a
to make a
local
hole.
bread,
Don't
and
eat it.
cut it like that, and then start cutting
That's what I was going to do, yeah.
Sure. Well, all right, you get out of the way because we've got something here for our former scout counselor. You admit to that. Now, Bess Meyerson, if you'll come up here, please. You were a Girl Scout counselor.
Oh, that's a misnomer, sir. I was a music counselor.
Well, same time, any Girl Scout counselor should know how to pack an official Girl Scout pack. All of this stuff that you see on this table goes into that empty pack there. No, not this. This is the way that's supposed to look when you're through. Go.
Go. Where does it open? Here we are. Got a little hatchet in here. Now, let's see.
There's the tent.
There's the tent.
Tent's going in.
I used to have fellas do this for me when I went out on camping trips.
I'll bet you.
Bet you did.
Sounds like a swinging camp.
Same camp where Henry was a waiter. Now, this too?
Yeah.
You sure we have to take this?
Well,
Can I see that one again?
no.
Against the rules.
There go the dishes.
All righty. Wait a minute, I'm not...
Let her keep going. Friends, we hope that next week at the same time you will tune in when Bess Meyerson may just possibly have half of this knapsack packed.
What
But
about
I
that
doubt it.
typewriter ribbon?
How are you coming, Betsy? Let's go over here by Betsy.
I'm missing some typewriter ribbon here.
You want me to sit on it?
Oh, she's doing beautiful. Ginger Rogers, thank you a million. We'll see you next week.
Now, here's a message of interest from P.T. Babbitt.
From what everybody else has ascertained, it looks like a machine that you get on, and it puts you through a lot of rigorous motions, and it ends up you don't do anything. You get off tired. Is it a tired-making machine?
Are you saying it's a machine that accomplishes nothing?
Yes.
Yes, you're right. That's exactly what it is. It accomplishes nothing.
I just said yes because of the way he asked the question.
Now, even when it was working, panel, it accomplished nothing. Here's what happened. When I say even when it was working, it blew a fuse 5 minutes before airtime. Behind me here is a long control panel. All sorts of electrical switches, little dials that go back and forth. And when the thing was working, very slowly, these foot pieces would go to the side and they would tilt you up on your toes and so forth. And when you had finished doing all of this, it was of no use whatsoever. And the machine's cost is $4,200. Now, let me tell you that Mr. Larrick, you want to come down here, sir? He is the commissioner of the United States Food and Drug Administration, and he tells me that many people have paid anywhere from $5 to $25 a treatment on this machine until the Food and Drug Administration seized the machine and proved it was absolutely useless. What was the device supposed to do, sir?
It was supposed to cure most of the ailments of mankind. It was supposed to straighten out your spine, and that was supposed to be the key to the cure of tuberculosis, rheumatism, and a vast array of serious human diseases.
Well, I want you to see some of the other devices that the Food and Drug Administration has seized and condemned by court order. And when you see them, it's possible that you'll laugh because they do have their funny aspects. Unfortunately, however, a lot of ill people have spent a lot of money each year buying or using them. Now, we'll show you some of these devices, hard to believe. Let's take this most imposing-looking console here, sir. Can you tell us about it?
Well, this is an antipathic radiation laboratory. And you took a piece of cotton with some body fluid, preferably blood, and put it in this orifice. And then by manipulating these dials in a very impressive way, you were supposed to be able to ascertain anything that's wrong with you.
This was a diagnostic machine.
That was a diagnostic machine, and it sold for $495, and a great many people wasted their hard-earned money on the machine to no avail.
Now, he very grandly referred to this as an orifice, another word which is hole, and the awful part about it is there's nothing in there. It's just a hole that's not connected to anything. So you take a blood sample on some cotton, stuff it in there, turn the dials, and then the fellow says you've got tuberculosis, you know. Isn't that terrible? Now, look, let me model this for you. Sir, there's the data on it.
That's a helmet, a thermoplax helmet, that would be connected with the electric line. And when you turned it on, it would vibrate. And that would cure asthma and all sorts of allergies and diseases of that nature. And that cost you, for nothing, $25.
$25. It gives you a whale of a good headache, too. Now then, here I think is perhaps the most cruel of them all. This is nothing more than what I would describe as a brass nail. And you, with a safety pin, you attached it to yourself. How much did these sell for, sir?
$300 plus sales tax.
$300 plus sales tax, and what was the purpose of it, supposedly?
It was supposed to cure everything from diabetes to high blood pressure and low blood pressure, and it was sold to some very famous people.
And also, you told me, one, this is supposed to be a fun show, but if we accomplish something here by scaring people away from these things, it'll be worth putting a little damper on the proceedings. You were telling me about the little child.
Yes, the radioactive material in there was supposed to cure this child of its diabetes. And the child gave up the insulin, rather the parents gave up the insulin, and the child died.
So there is a serious purpose to all this, and this is only scratching the surface of the many, many quack devices. Henry, yes?
Sir, are they still selling those frightening cancer cure electric devices?
There's no end to them. We've put them out of business and new ones come along, but we're very energetically pursuing a course to take them into federal court as fast as we can find them and prove our case.
And, sir, how much money do the American people spend on these and other quack devices?
We estimate that people completely waste $1 billion a year on quackery and the treatment of serious diseases.
$1 billion?
$1 billion. They not only lose their money, but they deprive themselves of competent medical care.
And what can we do about it, sir? I mean, if somebody approaches you with some of these gadgets.
Before you spend your money on contraptions or other devices, I would consult with my own physician, go to your local health department, or ask the Food and Drug Administration.
Well, sir, I think you performed a service as well as been most interesting. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, Colonel, let me reintroduce you to Dr. Edgerton. He is, in addition to being professor at MIT, he's chairman of the board of Edgerton, Germershausen, and Greer, and quite a camera enthusiast. In fact, Dr. Edgerton is known as the father of flash photography because of his development of the strobe light. And by means of this important device, which we will explain more fully in just a moment, Dr. Edgerton is going to fire a .22 caliber rifle on this stage and photograph the bullet while it is in flight. for those who don't quite understand, and I number myself among them, sir, will you explain what exactly a strobe light is?
A strobe light is a flash that lasts a very short time. As a matter of fact, the one we're going to use on the stage here is less than 1/millionth of a second.
A flash of light less than 1/millionth of a second.
And it's necessary to have this short a flash in order to stop this very rapid motion of the bullet while it's flying through the air. A stroboscope proper is an instrument which sends out a series of flashes which can be synchronized with a rapidly moving thing like a motor. But in this case, we only have one flash when the bullet is in flight.
In other words, the bullet is fired in the dark, the flash goes, and you only see it for that millionth of a second. Now, let's go back and meet your colleague, if you will, and we'll try to explain this thing a little better.
Gary, this is Mike Altfelly. She's going to help us.
How are you?
Here tonight.
Nice to see you. Well, now, I'll try to explain what the process is going to be, then I'll get out of the way. Over here, we have an unloaded, as yet, .22 caliber rifle. The rifle is aimed. It will not go through Mike. It'll be past him. This is the target, an ordinary filing card. The bullet, if we are successful, will go through the card edgewise. It'll go through it edgewise. The bullet will then be absorbed in this soft material over here. This is the strobe light, which will flash 1/millionth of a second, hopefully showing the bullet just as it emerges from the other side of the card. And you will see the bullet stopped in mid-flight, apparently, with the Polaroid. So, I'll get out of the way.
They will be interested in knowing how it is timed. The critical thing in this experiment is to time the flash when the bullet is on its way. And this is done by means of a microphone, which you can see in the picture. And if you tap on this, the flash of light occurs. Now, in order to not get an exposure due to the ordinary light, we will turn out the lights just before we shoot, and then shoot the bullet.
Let us say this, that it is the sound waves that are being pushed ahead of the bullet that trip this microphone, and therefore trip the light. All right, I'll get out of the way.
Now I'm lining up the gun so that the card is right in the middle of the barrel. This is the easiest way to aim a gun. Then I will put in the bolt, place the bullet in the gun, close the bolt. Now turn out the lights. Open.
Lights up, and the card was hit. As a matter of fact, the card was cut right in half. The top one-third of it is back here. Let me get it. Here we go. Right through there. Now, very good shot. Now let's see if we got a picture of it. Which is the... Oh, there it is, yeah. Oh, this is going to be tough to see, but because you're such a very good shot. Now, let me see. I'll take your pencil, Bill.
Oh, there's the flax going over.
Now, you see, the paper hasn't even had time to fall. Here is the paper. There is the progress of the bullet. All around here is cardboard, and this hard object right here is the bullet stopped in flight. Now, to give you an enlarged version of the same idea, because the pictures themselves are larger, here's a fantastic picture taken by the same method. This is a what caliber bullet, sir?
It's a 30 caliber bullet, which is going about 3 times faster than the one we shot here tonight.
And this object through which it is passing?
This is a balloon full of air. The balloon has been punctured in the air, hasn't had a chance to come out.
The camera is so fast that you have nothing but the hole. The balloon hasn't even had a chance to start to deflate. And our final picture here, I'll let you guess what it is.
Milk.
Drop of milk.
Is that milk?
Drop of liquid.
That's right. It is a drop of milk or a splash of milk photographed at the exact moment of splash. Up here you can see a whole drop of milk, and as it hits, pang, it splashes out like that, and look how fast that photography is.
Isn't that something? It's lovely.
Dr. Edgerton, thank you very much for bringing your hobby and your inventions to us, and continued success.
Thank you, guys.
It's called the Chamberlain Music Master. And it is absolutely revolutionary because it can sound like every instrument in the orchestra all at the same time.
Fabulous.
Fabulous thing. He said as bad as she could draw it. Now, I know you're interested, and I know you're interested.
Among our own people, the people we think are most interested would be Norman Paris and his men. So would you raise the curtain, please? Now, just to get this thing in motion, Norman, would you have one of the men stand and play a little something? One instrument. Any Southern...
Wait till I get my lip ready now.
Sure. Let's see if you can do this.
Very good, I should think.
Ready?
I'm ready. You
Wait,
ready?
This thing, no, it's not ready yet.
No.
It has to go plump, 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 plump. There we are.
Flute time. Listen, little rhythm section.
We'll have three playing.
Well, a drum, bass, and guitar.
Okay. How about that?
How about that?
Pedal.
Pedal. One hand. One hand. Well, Norm, things aren't going so well. You want to try the full band?
The full band.
The full band.
Here we go, the big one. Try that.
Miss Ann Southern, that's a full band.
You ready?
I'm ready. I may weep.
Ann Southern, thank you a million. You're a doll. You're
It's
sweet.
lovely to
The
be
thing-
on the program, to see all of you again.
Hello, I'm glad you had
Norman,
these
are you
lovely
gonna
talks.
sit?
Norman, you step in here.
Oh, my little
We're going to
friend.
try a very interesting experiment. Good night. Good night. Thank you very much. Maestro, what can be done with this, do you suppose?
Well, first, there it is. We can do a couple of things with this. I think they're unusual. How about that, huh?
I like it. Hey, fellas, isn't that great, fellas? Hey, isn't that a great idea, guys? How do you like that? That's a real bit of One explanation, because people are going to be going out of their minds. It works on tapes. There are about 72 different tapes in here, and they're hooked up to a keyboard, which you saw on, and the rhythm sections and the patterns are built in. You just depress a thing and it goes, and we're very grateful to the Fenton Music Company. I think it was that card disappeared, too. We want to thank Ann Southern. Merv Griffin, thank you very much for sitting in. Gary will be back next week. Thank you very much, and good night.
Yes. He flies, so he probably... I don't think the rest of the panel would know that Riverside is such a great aviation center. Wait till you see this thing. Let's open it up and show you the world's smallest plane. How about that wingspan, huh?
I need it right away.
Oh,
I want it.
you want it. Isn't that beautiful?
All right. Now, this is a how many passenger plane?
One place.
One passenger plane. How fast can it fly?
185 miles an hour top speed.
185 miles an hour. Now, what is the wingspan?
7 foot 2 inches.
7 foot 2 inches. What is the length of the total plane?
9 foot 5. 9 foot 10.
9 foot 10. Well, that's enough. Now, this is such a small plane. Don't you have a weight problem in regards to your pilot?
We certainly do. The maximum pilot weight is 160 pounds.
If he gets heavier than that, the plane doesn't balance.
He don't fly. He stays
Well, now, what is your fuel capacity?
5 gallons.
5 gallons? How long does that keep you aloft?
Well, about 30 minutes with a reasonable reserve.
Mm-hmm. Bill, would you like to fly this plane sometime? He said that he'll let you take it up if you want. Bill is an expert pilot, has a professional
Tomorrow
license.
morning.
I'd like to have a little more practice and lose a little more weight, Ray, before I try. That's beautiful. At what speed does that land or pay off?
A touchdown about 80 miles an hour with power.
Fairly hot airplane. It's a hot airplane.
It's a very hot airplane. It takes a lot of strip. How much strip does it take to...
A good 1,500-foot takeoff. You need about 3,000 feet, though, smooth runway.
But just average pilot, average amateur pilot, couldn't fly this thing. It's too hot, isn't it?
I wouldn't trust him. It takes a fairly experienced pilot a lot of time, yes.
I should think so, because it's practically no wings. It's, like a bullet.
I'll wait if you want to practice up and reduce.
Yes, need a lot of practice out there.
Mr. Stitt, you weigh over 160, don't you?
190. I didn't fly it.
Then
You've never
who'd you build it for?
Well,
His wife.
it's a long story. It was built 11 years ago for air show work and to claim the title of the world's smallest airplane.
And it is, of course, being the smallest, it is one of a kind, and that, of course, is why the Smithsonian wants it.
Well, who did you talk into taking that thing off with the bird?
Pacific, to mention names, Bob Starr and Lester Cole, the only 2 pilots that ever flew it.
And how many hours does it actually have in the air?
About 15 total hours. This is some 5 to 20-minute flights. Formation shots, always in front of the camera, and newsreel shots.
So really, this was built to show that it could be done, rather than for any really utilitarian use. Betsy, you wanted to know something?
No, I was just going to, whoops, there goes the camera. I just was going to say that if a woman was a good pilot, it would probably be a more logical plane, and more logical for a female to do it, wouldn't it?
Yes, we're going to the supermarket and all that kind of business.
Very good women.
Mr. Stitz, it's been fascinating to see this, and I know many people are going to see it down at the Smithsonian. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'll help you push her upstairs.
Robert Goulet, and welcome to I've Got a Secret.
I've Got a Secret, brought to you tonight by Kool-Aid, the fun drink which makes 2 full quarts of pure, wholesome refreshment for the entire family. Now, from New York, here is I've Got a Secret, starring Gary Moore.
Good evening. Good evening to you on this beautiful, balmy, spring-like night in New York with the scent of flowers wafting through the streets of New York. That'll be the day. Before we go any further, let's meet the night-blooming species of our panel. First, there is our non-shrinking violet, Mr. Bill Cullen, and our golden daffodil, Miss Betsy Palmer. And Henry, be back to you in a minute. And next, our long-stemmed American beauty rose, Miss Bess Meyerson. No, it's just that I was running out of stuff here. According to my notes, you have a choice of being a snapdragon or a crabgrass. And I didn't want to hang either one of those on you. Nice to see you.
I think I'm a...
I think he's a blueberry.
He's a bachelor's button. Well, at any rate, that is our panel. You all set to play the game?
Yes.
Well, let's meet our first fascinating contestant then. Will you open it first? Will you tell our panel, please, what your name is, sir, and where you are from?
My name is Dr. Lee Davenport, and I'm from New York.
Dr. Davenport. Now, Dr. Davenport's a rather interesting and intricate bit of equipment you have lined up here. What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to put my hand right here, Gary.
Put your hand right there. What will that do?
That is my secret.
All right, then. You whisper your secret to me, and we'll find out what's going to happen when he puts his hand right there. Here we go, Dr. Davenport. Oh! that'll make CBS happy. Want to come join me? Come join me at the desk, Doctor. And panel, as you already know, the clue concerns something that will happen. We'll start the game, please, with Betsy Palmer.
Dr. Davenport, does this have to do with telephones? Because there are little pictures of it saying general system and there's a telephone on it.
This has something to do with the telephone of the future, perhaps.
Of the future. Is there a beam that's being projected and sent right along the line that your hand will pass through?
I'm afraid I have to answer yes to that one.
It has something to do more than with auditory things than with...
Who is this girl?
Well, what is this auditory
I'm trying
thing?
to be very down to earth today now. Has it to do with hearing then instead of seeing or sensing?
No, I wouldn't say that it had to do more with hearing than with seeing.
$20 down, $60 to go. We go, please, to Henry Morgan. All she said was auditory, Henry.
Boy.
I could have said visual, too, but I didn't get to see.
I'm glad you saved me a word. Doctor, when you interrupt the beam with your hand, I wish I were as smart as Betsy. Do you interrupt a ray that bounces? No, I'm saying interrupt. Do you do anything with the heat of your hand?
What's the heat?
The heat of your hand.
No, the heat of my hand has nothing to do with it.
Then, is this ray... Oh, is it connected with... is it anything to do with laser?
I'm afraid he has a clue here.
Ah, that's that highly concentrated beam that will be used in future to carry thousands of phone messages, television, radio.
At one time, yes. It's a laser spelled
a hole in his hand.
L-A-S-E-R.
Well, then, if you put your hand in front of this concentrated beam, will it harm you?
Not in the slightest.
We've lost $40, but we have 40 to go. And how about you, Bess Myerson?
I haven't a clue. Dr. Davenport, though, will we see something happen?
Yes, you will see something happen.
Will it be, will it do the work of a camera?
No, it's not intended in any way to replace the camera.
Will we see a picture? Will we see something? Oh!
Good morning, Betsy.
I didn't do a thing.
I didn't do
$60 gone, $20 to go. We go, please, to Bill. Colin.
These are the same light rays they say can transmit a signal or a beam to the moon or something like that?
Similar, yes.
Light amplifier. Are these rays going to pass through your hand?
No, not through.
That would be fun. I guess I better defer to Betsy because she...
All right, Betsy seems to think she has something. Yes, Betsy.
Well, only because Dr. Davenport said it was the phone of the future, maybe, and where we will be seeing the person that we're talking to. Does this have to do with it?
I think Betsy missed it.
You missed it by a mile.
I think Betsy missed it.
You mean, will the effect be visual rather than auditory?
I got it.
No, both. You talk
all
and
right.
see.
You put your... It's the phone of the future, and we need another century of progress. You put your hand in there, and you get a wrong number.
Well, Dr. Davenport is a scientist with General Telephone and Electronics, and he is president of its research unit. And the contraption over there is something that we've all read and heard a lot about. It is a gas laser system, laser spelled L-A-S-E-R, which was developed by General Telephone. Now, we'll go upstage here, Dr. Davenport, and make a demonstration. Excuse me. Sure. But before we do that, sir, would it be possible for you to explain in layman's terms to the audience what a laser is? We've played around with the idea, but to be more explicit.
Well, lasers rank with vacuum tubes and transistors as one of the significant scientific developments of this century of ours. Ordinary light bulbs, as you know, spray out their light in all directions, and a laser, as was correctly pointed out by our astute panel, shoots a very, very narrow pencil-like beam of light in a single direction. This permits conversations perhaps over very long distances.
Well, now, what is it hooked up to do now?
Well, right now, the television picture, which most of our viewers are watching, is transmitted from cameras in this studio through this light beam from here to here, and thence over the radio stations to their homes.
All right, now, right this minute, for the first time in history, a network television signal is being carried over a beam of light. The light beam is operating right now, and I think you'll be able to see it. If we lower the lights, please, Frank, and I'll just puff a little smoke up, and you will see a brilliant scarlet beam going from here to here. It should show in the smoke. See, you can trace it all the way across.
Now, that little narrow beam is the one that could carry 100,000 telephone messages all at the same time, or 160 television programs all at once.
Well, now, here is its practical application tonight, the way they have it hooked up. By the way, tell us about that moon thing last year, because that to me is fascinating.
Well, some time ago, a pulsed laser, a type that we'll show you a little later, was used to beam a light ray at the moon. In fact, that beam of light was so bright that by the time it reached the moon, one could read a newspaper by it on the surface of the moon.
Had you been sitting on the moon, which I didn't happen to be at the moon.
We doubt.
Now, here is the demonstration. We've showed you that the beam goes from here to here. When Dr. Davenport puts his hand in so as to intercept or interrupt that beam, your television picture all over the United States, every television set in the country that's tuned to CBS, your picture will disappear. You'll still hear our voices, but you will not see the picture. So let's give a demonstration of that, Dr. Davenport. You want to give us a little countdown?
All right. 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there you go. The picture's gone. Now let us devoutly pray that when he removes his hand, the picture comes back. So
cross your fingers now.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, 0.
And there's your picture again. Can I try it?
Of course you can try it. Go ahead.
What happens if you kind of wiggle your fingers?
Try wiggling your fingers.
All right. Well. Oh, it confuses the picture beautifully. Oh, that's great. All right, now let's go over and look at this other laser, the kind that you were talking about that shoots not a steady beam, but shoots its impulses.
I do want to say one thing about this. This is many, many years in the future, Sherry, before this will be practical for telephone use. The other kind of laser, the one over here, let's go over and take a look at that.
You go. I want to do this just once more. All right. Now, this laser here, as you say, instead of giving a continued light, gives one sharp impulse, right?
This is the kind that pulses, and the light beam from this laser emerges from that little nozzle right there and traverses from here over to that card. Now, if we put a piece of metal or something in the way, it is so powerful that it'll burn a hole through the piece of metal.
Now, here we have a piece of metal, right here. And on the back of this little demonstration contraption, there is a balloon. So, when I push this button on signal, the laser light will not only burn a hole in the metal, it'll burst the balloon, but because the rays are not focused, when it gets here, not concentrated, it'll do nothing to the cardboard.
Actually, this all happens so fast that about all we'll see is the bursting of the balloon, I think, Gary.
1/1000th of a second.
1/1000th of a second.
So don't blink, and here we go. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, fire. All right, the balloon, as you can see, disappeared. Now we'll turn the metal around. I'll take this little rod just as a demonstration and break it through there, and it'll show you. It made a hole right through the metal. Dr. Davenport, we are most grateful to you, sir. We are grateful also to General Telephone for bringing us this extraordinary experiment.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you very much. Now, Richard Lawson is a full-time machinist at the Wine Engineering Company in New Jersey, and he is a part-time flying enthusiast. Now, for years, he's been flying his own airplane, and finally his dream has come true the hard way. He built his own airplane, and when I say the hard way, I mean it. Just ask his wife. He built it in the living room of his house. Now, this aircraft is backstage, and we will see it in just a moment. But first, Mr. Lawson, how does one go about building an airplane in his living room?
Well, he starts out with a blueprint, makes the blueprint, makes the part, and he assembles it.
Well, what's the part that you built first?
I built the fuselage first, or the body of the airplane.
Fuselage, that's the big, long part of the airplane.
That's right.
What did you do with the fuselage while you worked on the rest of the plane?
Kept it in the living room.
Kept it right in the living room?
Right.
How long did the body of this plane stay in the living room?
About 7 years.
7 years. Mr. Lawson, would you present this box of candy to your wife? This is our annual award to the most understanding woman of the year.
Thank you.
What did you do about company in your living room? Entertaining friends and so forth. You got an airplane sitting in there.
If they didn't like my airplane, they didn't have to come.
For 7 years it sat there. Well, now, I assume that after 7 years, when you had completed all of the individual parts, the fuselage and the wings and the motor and all the rest, that you took them out and assembled the airplane outside.
No, I assembled in the living room.
Well, how'd you get it out of the house?
Well, then I disassembled it and took it to Sussex Airport and assembled it.
And that was your first flight?
Yes.
Before we see it, Henry, you had your hand up a moment ago. Was there something? Time has passed. I'm sorry. Well, let's take a look at the results of 7 years of hard work and crowded living quarters. Will you open the curtains, please, Frank? There it is. Now, ladies, ask yourself the question. Are you a good enough wife to live for 7 years with this thing in your living room? I dare say few of you are. Now, Mr. Lawson, how many hours have you flown this plane?
About 12 or 13.
Uh-huh. And what is the maximum speed?
165 miles an hour.
165. Now, Bill, you're a flyer. Does that surprise you, the speed on this thing?
No, it looks fast. It looks hot, too, Mr. Lawson, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not easy to fly. I can tell to look at it. I think I'm right.
Not too hard to fly.
Not too, well.
How much does it weigh?
149 pounds.
That's you. That's what you weigh. How much does the airplane weigh?
549 pounds.
549 pounds. Now, to show you how beautifully balanced this thing is, now, Bill, you look surprised. Why are you surprised? At the lightness of it?
Very light, yes.
Now, watch this. When he just puts his weight on the front of it, back of it goes up in the air. I want you to know, panel, by the way, that everything on the plane was handmade by Mr. Lawson. He shaped the sheet metal, he cut down these propellers from another plane, and he drove every bolt in himself. How much did it cost you in supplies?
$1,700.
$1,700. The one thing I couldn't help but wonder about, she's a lovely streamlined thing, except for some protruding mechanism down here at the bottom. What is that?
That is a carburetor.
Well, that's what I thought, but I never saw one hanging out of the bottom of a plane before. Why'd you do that?
You have to put it someplace, so it's all right under there.
As good an answer as any. If you want to have a carburetor hanging down, hang it down.
You hang it down.
Yeah. Well, you're a remarkable man. You've built a remarkable craft there, and we want to wish you lots of continued luck.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Right. Our somewhat abortive moonshot last week, everyone connected with the project knew when it started just how very long and how tough the odds were. Mr. Nix, how will this last shot affect the United States program to explore the moon?
Well, Gary, this was an important first step in a series to develop the technological capability to explore the moon, first with unmanned spacecraft and subsequently with men. We learned a lot in this attempt. Since it was the first one, we started with no knowledge, and therefore we feel that we've gone a long way toward making the next one in the series work.
Well, I'm sure we'll all be fascinated to see a most marvelous model that he's got of the capsule itself. It's a model of the one that was fired just last week, and let's take a look at it right now, shall we? Now, I know that if you're like me, if you think of a missile, you think of a capsule, you think of a long, slender thing, such as we have a picture of here. Now, that is what, sir?
This is the Atlas Agena B rocket, which launched the spacecraft shown here, of which this is a model, toward the moon.
So this is a model of this little, comparatively small part of it, with the outer sheath taken off so that we may see the inner workings, right?
That's right.
All right, now if you'd explain it to us, sir, if you will.
Well, this is the spacecraft as it would appear after the launching, and immediately thereafter the solar panels unfold so that we can collect the sun's energy to drive the electrical equipment aboard. The major components here are a capsule which was to be sent to the moon, the basic spacecraft, and some scientific instruments with an antenna which is oriented toward the Earth, all automatically after this is launched. Now, on its way to the moon, it cruises in an attitude such that the sun is directed here, this points to the Earth, and that is an unusual trait of this spacecraft because most of them heretofore have been uncontrolled in space. Partway to the moon, it's asked to turn around to some new heading and perform a maneuver so that it can correct its flight path. Then, about an hour before it reaches the moon, it was to turn around and aim a television camera toward the surface of the moon, to deploy some instruments, this is a radiation measurement, to get ready to launch this capsule. Now, all of these things happened in this flight that just took place, with the exception of the launching of the capsule, because we were not directly aimed at the moon. In an ordinary flight, this would come off as shown here. This would slow down with a small rocket, and it would land on the moon, some instruments which would send back measurements.
With a soft enough landing impact or lack of impact so that the instruments inside would not in any way be damaged, right?
That's the plan.
Well, now, what do we hope to learn from this capsule after it lands?
Well, from the capsule, we'll learn something about the activity inside the moon, moonquakes, if there are any, and hope to find out how it's composed. With the other measurements, the television camera is fairly obvious. We'll see what kind of rocks or cracks are there. And with this radiation measurement, we'll find out if the moon's crust is something like the Earth, which will give us a clue as to how it was formed.
Isn't it nice to know you got guys like him on your side? Because I couldn't get it up there, I don't think. I'm sure you will, and thank you very, very much, Mr. Nix, for being with us.
Are you watching, you little rascals?
Oh, it's fun, isn't it?
And who subscribes to it?
Go on, push the button.
Think of the fun you could have on
The tube.
the tube.
You.
Tube.
Tube.
TV tubes.
That's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's going to be a lot more fun
If you keep going the way you're going. Go on, push the button.
Please subscribe.
I hope they're watching.